Hello, RWorld, and welcome back to another episode of RWorldTalk. We have a special treat for you guys today. We're going to dive into the world of artificial intelligence with Dr. William Hahn. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. Really glad to be here.
Awesome. Dr. Artificial intelligence has been around for a while, but 2023, obviously an explosive year for AI to gain some traction in the business world. It remains one of the most prominent conference themes nationwide, with people always begging to learn more about AI. So what brought on this trend, and do you think it's going to fizzle out?
Great question. First, no, I don't think it's going to fizzle out anytime soon, or maybe ever. AI represents sort of a change in the whole world. As we were just saying, I think it might be like electricity itself. We have sort of, the world is made out of horseshoes and buggies, and we just don't see it that way right now. And I think we're about to hit an inflection curve where it's going to be an exciting set of technologies right around the corner.
Right. Okay. Well, I think realtors have mastered the understanding that they can produce pretty clever listing descriptions and enhance their social media copy. But let's take this to 10,000 feet. What else can AI do in real estate? Are there really some game changers on the horizon with AI?
Absolutely. One of the things I've been looking at and working on for almost a decade now and sort of watching it come together is this idea of a digital twin, where you take a whole entire building or even a larger property, and you have a kind of a clone of that in your computer. Now think 3D graphics to start, where you could go through and take a virtual tour, as everybody's seen coming down the line. But think being able to, like Superman, look through the walls, see the wiring, see the age of the wiring, see the building codes that go with them, and so on. And this idea of this digital twin, a building where you have a one-to-one map of the real thing and the digital thing.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a big game changer in real estate.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's something that you're working on right now?
Yeah, we've got students developing that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we didn't get into this. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know that you're a professor at FAU, but let us know sort of where you came from and how you got into the field that you're in.
Absolutely. Worked with computers my whole life. I think the first word I learned how to spell was install.
Okay.
Because I could put the game in, and that would turn it on. That was sort of the magic password.
Okay.
And so I kind of grew up waiting for AI, expecting it, seeing it in the movies and on TV, and wondering why my computer wasn't doing these things yet. So about 20 years ago, I really started to research this technology. And about 10 years ago, I built a laboratory at FAU dedicated to bringing students in and making sure they knew that this was coming down the line.
Okay. Fantastic. That's exciting stuff. So you've been doing this basically your whole life.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Waiting for AI to come around. Did you have a hand in creating any AI platforms that we're using today?
Yeah. Well, so we're launching one right now. It's called Animal Computer, and you guys could check it out. Okay. And we have a fantastic image generator. It rivals DALL-E.
Okay.
And we're really excited about that. And we're trying to get these technologies out there as soon as we can. I think it's an emergency both for sort of young people and everybody in every industry to get involved, but especially people listening to the show. Jump into this stuff right now. Don't wait another 6 months before you put this on your radar and start learning about it. You can make moves this week with this technology.
Yeah, everybody keeps telling me that. I've never been an early adopter of any new technology, and I've said it on the show before that I really wasn't using AI, and in the last couple of months, I would say, I've been using AI like crazy just to see what it can do. So I'll throw in all kinds of prompts into like ChatGPT to see what it spits out, not necessarily even real estate related. I'm using it for everything.
And
yeah. I mean, you could really sit in front of your computer all day long and fill your brain with so much knowledge with what AI is spitting back out at you.
It's unbelievable. I think ChatGPT 4 now, the way I like to think about it, essentially it has an associate's degree in everything.
Okay.
Right? It has not world expert experience, but just getting started, maybe 2 years out of high school in real estate, finance, accounting, physics, astronomy, everything you can imagine. Now, if we go out to the next version that we should see relatively soon, and it's not just going to be OpenAI's offering, but we're going to see a whole ecosystem of these. But let's just call it ChatGPT 5. That thing is going to have some serious expertise.
Okay.
And at that point, you'd be crazy not to have this thing in your front pocket for every business's decision you're trying to make.
Right. Wow. It's so tell me a little bit more about that. When you're coming up with ChatGPT 5, let's say, is it the artificial intelligence that is basically building that program, or are there people behind all of this?
Definitely both. But we've definitely gotten the snake to bite its tail in a sense, where this thing is starting to bootstrap itself.
Really?
The early versions, for example, when they did the Go Champion, which is this obscure board game, it's very popular in other countries, but a rather difficult board game. It has many more possibilities than chess. And originally they got humans to play on the internet and give the computer examples of here's what humans do in this situation.
Okay.
And they got that system to work, and it worked really well. But then shortly after, they got the thing to just run on its own, where it just makes up gameplay. It learns from just basically solitaire with a copy of itself, and that system worked even better. And so with ChatGPT 5 and ChatGPT 4, ChatGPT as we have it now is good enough to make new questions and answers that you quiz the AI on.
Really? Okay, interesting. That's that's like absolutely fascinating stuff. We said already that you're a professor at FAU. Do you recommend that realtors should be taking courses taught by experts to get ahead, or is AI something more discoverable just by finding the right platforms and such?
You definitely want to jump out and just try the platforms yourself. I mean, hands-on experience is always going to be the best for anything. And when you ask about, definitely go and look at the experts. We're putting together some courses to train on this, but I think experts right now, it's not obvious who they are. And I think some of the best experts in the world are the amateurs. They're the ones on the internet. They're the ones on YouTube putting out a video saying, I tried this last week. You go on YouTube and you search by last month or last week, and you put AI real estate, and that's going to be your good content stream right there.
Interesting. So what sorts of things are you personally doing with AI? Have there been things that have just absolutely blown your mind from prompts that you put into the system?
Yeah. So the thing that's the most exciting for me is getting it to computer program. Okay. So we're able to create apps in real time almost. The kind of things that you would have a development team spend 6 or 7 months building, you can now have a couple of guys put stuff together in an afternoon. And I think that's the most exciting. So maybe you need a custom app maybe just for a particular site. You're selling this project and this building, and you need an app just for that sale. And normally you wouldn't go and develop a piece of software just to make one sale.
Right.
But now you have to reconsider that.
Interesting. Okay. So how much time goes into that?
I think soon you're going to be able to see these things like in an afternoon. You'll be able to create interesting content and interesting mini apps, I call them, right? So we do this in the lab now with our students, and they've never programmed before, but in an hour they can make a custom calendaring system with color codes and messaging and whatever you might need. Specifically tailored. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, all using AI.
That's crazy. So when it comes to AI and let's say home inspections or something like that, have you heard of the technology being developed that can predict the lifespan of a house? Or we talked about, you were saying cloning a home so that way you've got an exact digital replica of the original structure. But there's many, possible pain points down the road to enhance assessments and things like that. But is there some technology that's being developed that you'd be able to predict the lifespan of a home?
Absolutely. And I think sooner than later. So everybody's probably seen the announcement this week with the Apple headsets. And what's interesting about that technology is that's actually a laser rangefinder on the front of that's making a full 3D map of your room every time you walk through it.
Interesting.
And that's how the technology works. That's how that platform, it needs it to do that. But we could now take that same map and use it to do structural assessments. Is the roof sagging? Is the walls perfectly plumb? Can we look at a timber? You add the next generation technology and look at a timber beam and say, oh no, this has termite damage. Or look at a metal beam and say, no, there's rust or there's not rust. And then from the amount of rust, well, what's the lifespan that we would expect to get out of it, and what our repair costs might be over the next few years, and far out stuff like that. And now it'll just pop up, whether it be on your phone or in the goggles or something. You'll get that kind of information just right there.
Wow. Okay, guys, you heard that. If you see your inspector walking around with an Apple Vision Pro on his head, you know what he's doing. That would be very interesting if you could, if you had the blueprint of the original home and could now use, like you said, like an Apple headset to actually look through a wall and see where the wiring is and the age and all that sort of thing would be absolutely incredible.
Exactly.
It's amazing the advancements in technology that we're looking at right now. So where should realtors start? We've talked about this on previous episodes, but you're the guy that knows about AI. I mean, you've got a PhD, for God's sake. So where should realtors be starting? What's step one if they want to start using AI for their business?
I think the first step is just jump in and start using these tools yourself. Whether it's the free version of ChatGPT, I tell all my students they'd be crazy not to get the premium version. There's going to be a lot of different offerings, but I think that one's one of the best right now.
Okay.
And I think of it as a skill like Googling. And if you've ever had to Google something for your grandmother or whatever it might be, you realize it's a skill that we kind of picked up over the last 20 years, not thinking about it. And we've gotten good at, you don't just put in the first thing comes to your mind. You have to think about for a second what words that'll get you what you want. And the chat systems are exactly the same. You have to learn that certain style of dialogue. And when it says no, you have to push it a bit. And it'll give you an outline. Say, no, I want an essay. And it'll give you an essay. Say, I want an executive summary.
Right.
And then you can kind of go back and forth and learn how to badger it, for lack of a better word, to get it to do what you need.
Okay. So are there places where you can go to find out what it is that you should be telling?
The interesting thing is ask it. It knows more about how it works than people know how their own mind works in some sense. So you can ask it, what can I ask you? What can you do in some sense?
Really?
Yeah. And then the other place that I would recommend, if you're looking for prompts and interesting things to really push the boundaries, X.com, Twitter, is definitely has almost all of the talent in this space is on there talking about what prompts they put in, what techniques they're using, how they're combining multiple models together. That's going to be the really exciting thing coming down the line is, everybody's seen ChatGPT can write copy, and they've seen, the DALL-E or equivalent systems can create images.
Right.
But what if we need something to put it all together? I think in a year, maybe two, you're going to see a system that says, here's a property, here's an address. Look up that address, put together all the details for it, write a report for it, host it online, make the video,
right.
hire the drone guy to come out, and the drone will fly itself around on AI, or maybe it'll just come out. But at that point, you'll have like 4 or 5 AIs working together. One that stitched and edited the video, another that wrote the copy, another that did the marketing ads online, another that negotiated for the ad prices on different platforms, all at the touch of a button. And you'll have one agent, one AI system that activated 4 or 5 others, and they all sort of go to work.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I've had quite a tough time using DALL-E. So I go in there and I tell it the image that I'm looking for, and what it gives me is not exactly what I was looking for. And I keep going back in and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, trying to get the image that I see in my head. And 9 times out of 10, it's not giving me exactly what it was that I was looking for. There's some limitations to that software right now that just, it doesn't get the human element of things.
Absolutely. And that's something that I'm trying to address. So I'm building something I call the AI OS, an entirely new operating system designed around these kinds of things like you're trying to do, get the images you want out of it. And so if you go to animalcomputer.com, you can try our test drive and you can click it, and we have a new image generator, and we think this one gives us better results than DALL-E a lot of the times.
Really?
Yeah.
Animalcomputer.com. Okay. We got to try that one out.
Yeah, just click test drive.
So who are some key leaders in the AI space? I mean, who should we be following? Why do you think that we should be following?
Well, the gorilla in the room right now is definitely Sam Altman at OpenAI.
Okay.
And I'm sure maybe your listeners saw just this week, they announced they're trying to fundraise $7 trillion.
No way.
AI.
Okay.
An unimaginable amount of money.
Right.
That makes the space race look like peanuts. That makes the interstate system look cheap.
Wow.
Right. And so we've never seen an industrial project of that scale, maybe ever. Right.
So
Hoover Dam doesn't cost that much money.
What do they need $7 trillion for?
Well, that's a really good question. I think that's the big question that everybody's wondering. I don't think you need that much to get to GPT-5 or even GPT-6 or whatever, let's just say, in the equivalent systems. I don't mean to always use OpenAI as a reference, but that's the sort of the name of them now.
Sure.
That much money, I think what they're seeing is we're going to need new power plants, that these things are going to be everywhere. That, we talked about the smart building, and you talked about ChatGPT. Imagine if the elevator was as smart as ChatGPT-5. It knew who was in it. It knew when people go. It knew what floor you need to go to.
That's creepy.
That sounds crazy, right?
Sounds crazy.
But if you think about it, the kind of chips that we have in our phones nowadays, these would have bankrupted any nation, just a few decades ago. Nobody could have afforded these, even if they all worked together.
Right.
And now we have one in our pocket. And so the idea of taking something like the intelligence of an AI system and putting it into the nuts and bolts of the building, the light switches will know what they are in a very intelligent way that I don't even think we can wrap our head around now. Right? And light switches as smart as an electrician. Well, it depends, for the safety of the people in the building. Why not, right? If the costs come down and then suddenly your building is a safe investment because the beams are talking to you, they'll send you text messages at night telling you if they need repair or whatever it might be. And this seems so far out, but when you look at the cost of these things, we can get access to this, ChatGPT is one of the best AIs in the world right now. You get it for $20 a month.
Right.
That's nothing for a property, right? And so now if you imagine, you can ask it questions over and over and over again. So the elevator asks a question, and then the plumbing asks a question, and then the central heating asks a question, and it's just talking to itself as a building, saying, how's my AC doing today? How's the water lines?
Gosh, that's
and
wild.
Building a report. And most of the time, it won't need to talk to a human, right? But every few months, if there's something, it says, oh, I need an air filter changed.
Interesting. So building's going to call its own plumber.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. So $7 trillion. So you're talking about needing to build new power plants. Is that really just to run the supercomputer itself? Like a Bitcoin mine kind of thing?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. If we look at what happened with Bitcoin, they started on just regular chips, regular computers and laptops. And then they moved to specialized chips and then sort of very specialized chips where now you have these big farms, these Bitcoin mining farms that you see. The same thing's going to happen with AI. Meta and Microsoft, they're each they're buying 500,000 of these chips.
Interesting.
500,000 chips, not $500,000, but 500,000 of these chips, and each chip is they're very, very expensive now. And so this is extraordinary, the investment. And so I just want to encourage all the listeners that this investment, this is going to rise all boats, right? This is going to take our economy and make it look like pre-electricity, post-electricity.
Really?
Right? Like seeing New York City when it was all horses versus coming back a few decades later and there's, traffic jams with cars.
Wow.
That didn't take that long, right? And I think this revolution will happen in maybe 25% of the time. Instead of taking 4 decades, it's going to take 1 decade.
Wow, that's incredible stuff. So outside of animalcomputer.com, ChatGPT, can you give us maybe 2 or 3 apps or platforms or fun things that we could do with artificial intelligence to sort of get people's brains working in that direction and get people to start adapting and adopting the technology?
Absolutely. The 3D scanning is a really big one that I'm excited about. And you can pull this up on your phone. If you got Apple or Android, just go to the store and just type in 3D scanner. There's a bunch of different ones that come up,
okay,
free and otherwise.
What does that do?
And it allows you to swing your cell phone around a room or around the outside of a building and capture the kind of diorama that you would have paid somebody to build out of foam and stuff a few decades ago. And you can then post that online and people can virtually walk through the property and you don't need a headset. You can just, run it on your phone or something like that.
Oh, that could be very cool for real estate.
Exactly. And so now imagine taking that scanning and then adding the AI, and now you do the scan and it's doing the inspection and the 3D tour all in the same go.
Interesting. Okay. How about another one?
I think the thing that's going to be really exciting with realtors, if you imagine I always see the billboards and it's got the face on there because the face is the brand.
Right.
And as a realtor, that's the most important part is that relationship. Being able to have a clone of yourself, to create your own avatar that looks like you, talks like you, even as, you sort of programmed to think a bit like you in the beginning, at least in some sense. And it can act as kind of an answering machine.
Interesting.
And so now you're on site with one client. The other one, instead of getting a busy signal, it pops up it looks like Zoom. It looks like a Zoom call. And maybe there'll be a little thing in the corner that says, oh, this is just a representative, and then give me just a minute, I'll get the real one. And then you push the button and it'll bring it in. Very
cool. Okay. I could see that coming in very useful. I mean, people who are in real estate are typically not shy people. We're relationship builders. We're the people. But I could see some people don't like to do video of themselves, and video is so popular right now and a great way to get yourself out there on social media. So if you're not comfortable on video, creating your own avatar that actually speaks like you and then maybe you could pop into ChatGPT and get yourself a script and give it to that avatar to make videos for yourself would be pretty amazing. I had used through ChatGPT a avatar, but they give me 6 random people. But it would be very cool if you could, instead of having one of those 6 random people, actually have yourself doing that content. Would be incredible. Fantastic tool. Well, thank you very much. So I'll obviously you've got to get back to doing some more artificial intelligence stuff, which is an exciting career, or your avatar, right? Exactly. But I like to ask this question of all of our guests. South Florida has tons of hidden gems. So whether it's a restaurant, beach, hotel, park, whatever, why don't you tell us something that you absolutely love about living in South Florida?
Definitely getting outside for sure. If folks haven't taken a walk around Green Cay, that definitely comes to mind, and the Wakatahatchee area.
Okay.
Just beautiful wetlands park, free, just park your car and walk around. Beautiful, relaxing. You'll see birds, crocodiles, the whole thing. It's a boardwalk over the water.
So when you're not in your computer, you like to get out and have a nice long walk.
There.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where is Green Cay? I've never heard of it.
it's in Palm Beach County. I'd have to pull up the road.
Okay.
But yeah, everybody just type it in.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Hahn, for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
And we will see you guys right back here next time on RWorldTalk.